Let me tell you, I never thought my life would turn into something you'd see in a sci-fi movie mixed with a good old-fashioned HOA feud. But that's how it went down right here on Maple Ridge on a night so wild, my porch lights nearly learned to scream. All it took was one glossy red Tesla, a stolen extension cord, and a block full of neighbors with more secrets than sense. And if you think I'm exaggerating, well, buckle up because you're about to find out just how weird things get when you try to do the right thing and the universe decides to test your boundaries. See, it started like this. My phone app gave me the kind of control I never thought I'd need: a green charger icon glowing on Karen's shiny Tesla parked right across my driveway. I pushed the slider up, up, up until that inverter under my eaves sang like a deep bell, the kind that gets into your bones and won't shake loose. Porch lights flickered, the air turned thick with hot dust, and everything seemed to hold its breath as that orange extension cord snaked over to my outlet. And there was Karen standing with her arms folded, daring me to say a word while her car's screen went bright as a bonfire. Now, if you've ever lived in a place with an HOA, you know how these things go. You either find your people or you find a rule book. When we moved in Mia, my wife said it felt like a postcard. I told her it felt more like a coin toss. The community council handed us a welcome basket cookies, a rule book thicker than a phone directory, and a list of paint colors all beige as mud. Brian Thompson. The president smiled at me with those eyes that never quite warmed up. "We love solar here," he said. "And me, I do solar for a living, not selling engineering 12 panels on my roof. Spinning the meter backward most days, making me feel like the sun itself was my partner." That's when Karen showed up, neat ponytail tennis visor and that electric car. She called my panels cute, like she was petting a dog. "We're really into green living here," she bragged, tapping her key fob. That's how it started. She brought us a list of approved lawn guys. We swapped muffins and waves. And then, well, the real story began with a sneaky orange cord. See, the first time I caught her plugging into my outdoor outlet, I wanted to believe it was a mistake. Maybe a misunderstanding. My dad taught me you share power in a storm, you help a neighbor, so I left a polite note. "Please don't use our outlet without asking, happy to help in a pinch." I taped it to her cord, feeling like I was doing the right thing. Firm, but kind. Mia said start with mercy, so I did. But mercy doesn't always work when you're dealing with folks who see kindness as weakness. That night, we got a letter HOA compliance telling me to keep outlets covered. I bought a lockable cover, put up a camera, told myself it'd blow over. But then 2:14 a.m. the alert buzzed. There was Karen again, out there in the moonlight, plugging in like the rules were for everyone else. "It's just 10 minutes everyone shares here," she said without turning. "You can ask," I said, but she just smiled, locked her car, and sauntered off. The next letter from the HOA came about solar panel reflections. That was a good one. "Angle the sun," it said. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off my porch. Still, I tried. I flipped burgers at the block party, offered to host a green day, tried to be the neighbor everyone remembers fondly. Karen sipped lemonade, looked me up and down, and told Brian my rosemary was too tall. Brian wrote it on his clipboard. The more I tried to smooth things over, the rougher they got. Weeks passed. Little things piled up, outlet lids left open, more nighttime spikes on my app, that orange cord sneaking back like a bad habit. Then came the twist. My camera caught Karen unlocking my cover with a key she wasn't supposed to have, plugging in, acting like my outlet was her own. I emailed the HOA, attached the video, asked for help. Their reply: "Cameras may not face the street." No mention of theft, no mediation, just a warning about my camera. At the next council meeting, I wore my cleanest polo, brought screenshots, explained everything. Brian listened, hands folded, then told me to be friendlier. Karen said she felt attacked. She claimed I was hoarding power, wanting special treatment just because I had a better system. And you know what? That stung. Because all I'd ever wanted was for people to respect boundaries. So I tried one last time. I brought Karen cookies, handed her a sheet about EV charging etiquette, even offered to help her install a proper outlet. No hard feelings. She took the cookies, said she'd think about it. That night I watched her plug in again live on my app, kilowatts spiking. I went outside, asked her to stop. She just laughed, told me my dad lived in a different world. That's the thing though, kindness isn't weakness. Sometimes you have to draw a line, so I unplugged the cord. She plugged it back in. We stood there, two stubborn kids at a light switch, on, off, until she finally stormed off, telling me, "This won't end how you think." The next day, the fine arrived. Not for her, me. $150 for tampering with neighborhood peace. I wanted to throw something. Instead, I called my dad. He told me mercy lives in truth. Make the truth plain. And so I did. I wrote one last letter. Install your own outlet. Pay a small fee if it's an emergency, or don't use my power. I set my system to trip if it sensed a heavy draw, programmed alarms, and waited. And then the night hit. The alert went off. I walked out, and that's when it all came to a head. Karen stood in the dark, her Tesla lit-up Charger humming. I hit the slider on my app, leaned the system into the max safe load, just enough to trigger alarms but not hurt anyone. The Tesla screamed, porch lights popped on all down the block, and the neighborhood, well, it woke up. That's when Ethan, the kid from next door, slipped out of the shadows, holding my stolen outlet key. Before I could process that, blue lights from a patrol car swept around the corner. Neighbors poured out in pajamas, and Karen screamed bloody murder, blaming me for everything from overloading her car to breaking into houses. But right as the chaos peaked, a crash sounded from behind Karen's house. Mason Bryan's son stumbled out clutching a homemade battery bank wire sparking blue. The thing rattled, Buzz threatened to blow. Mason, the quiet kid, had been using my power and Karen's key to build something too big, too dangerous. Suddenly, all the little secrets came spilling out: her theft, his project, the missing key. The battery fizzed, sparking, and everyone panicked. Firefighters doused the thing, neighbors crowded the curb. Brian dropped his clipboard. I helped Mason steady himself, explained the danger offered to teach him to do it right. And in that moment, standing in the night, a crowd gathered, chaos barely avoided, I realized how thin the line is between kindness and being taken for a fool. But you know what really knocked the wind out of me? Just as things calmed, a bright light streaked from the sky, dropped something on Brian's roof. The whole block froze. Firefighters, cops, everyone staring as the bomb squad pulled a humming black case off the shingles. Then came the drones, first one, then a swarm flashing beams searching for power. They scanned my panels, Brian's roof, every bright spot they could find. And right when I thought it couldn't get weirder, one of those drones dove into the smoking roof, exploded, and everything went wild. Siren shouts, dogs barking, phones buzzing. The drones moved like they were searching for energy itself, and the truth hit all of us. The thing that had landed, the weird signals, the scanning drones, they weren't just after our gadgets. They were after the power we'd made so easy to see. The next days were a blur of government vans, agents, scientists, and block meetings. We learned the object was made of non-terrestrial isotopes, that's right, not from Earth. Agent Carter, who looked like he hadn't slept in a week, asked for all my system logs, app data, everything. I gave it over because suddenly this wasn't about neighbors or fines or even stolen keys. It was about survival. The neighborhood changed overnight. We set up decoy signals, hid our feeds, shut down all non-essential power. Kids and parents moved into the church for safety. Agents posted guards, engineers worked overtime. Carter said, "Your system is the brightest. You're a target." That was a punch in the gut. I'd built that system to help, to share, to make things better. And then, just when it felt like we'd made ourselves as invisible as possible, the drones came back this time, heading for the community center. We piled into cars, fled to the church, and hunkered down. The humming started. The drones scanned a beam cut through the sanctuary, and a voice not quite human echoed in our heads. Surrender power. We will take only what is needed. I thought of Noah, my son, asleep in Mia's arms. I thought of Mason, who just wanted to build something good. I thought about that line between mercy and protection, about how kindness without boundaries isn't really kindness at all. So I stepped up, literally, and offered a deal. We'd give a safe feed, a controlled stream of power, not everything, but enough. The robed figure the visitor accepted. We built the node, connected it to a generator far from any homes, watched as the figure's drone drew what it needed gently without harm. In return, it left us a gift, a coin of technology, a way to store power safely, a bit of knowledge that made our lab the safest in the county. The neighborhood changed after that. Karen paid for the power she'd taken. Mason helped set up safety classes. Brian rewrote the HOA rules to help before fining. We learned to share, but carefully with rules and trust. Sometimes I still look up at the panels humming on my roof and wonder who's watching, what else is out there, and if being a good neighbor is enough in a world where the sky can open and change everything. But I know this kindness with boundaries, rules with mercy, that's what keeps a neighborhood together when the whole world seems ready to fall apart. So tell me, have you ever had to draw a line between kindness and letting someone walk all over you? Do you think we did the right thing? Drop your thoughts below, because one thing I learned, what we do with our light and how we share it might just decide the story we tell tomorrow.